Waking up dizzy, our MC notices a ton of people around, making a racket. Confused and with a splitting headache, our boy tries to figure out what's going on. The scene around him is a giant warehouse packed with lost people. That's when panic sets in, and our little guy's eyes go wide with fear. Completely lost, he's already thinking he's been kidnapped or is trapped in a seriously trippy dream. With a sharp pang in his head, his memory starts flooding back. Suddenly, our guy remembers a bizarre letter he received a few days ago. In a flashback, we see our MC, a recent grad, making a living by playing games on his computer. To get by, our little guy had to carry others through their matches for cash. One more victory and the day's bread was easily secured. Over the moon, our guy celebrates in the middle of his messy room. Lying on his bed, chilling, he decides to do a little scroll on his phone. Swiping through the screen, he looks for something interesting to do. But then, remembering his dad calling him a useless piece of trash, our MC decided to leave home to prove his worth. In the middle of the night, he gets up barefoot after hearing a strange noise at the door. With a weird package in his hand, our little guy finds the situation pretty suspicious. Way too curious, he yanks the seal off the black envelope without a second thought. Immediately, a sinister blue magic swallows our guy whole. Above him, a notice appears for a forced admission into the so-called Dawn Academy, vanishing off the map just like that. All that's left is the letter on the floor of his empty room. Now, back in the present, our MC finally connects the dots and realizes the kidnapping was for real. Suddenly, a deep voice mocks him, asking if Sleeping Beauty is finally awake. Staring down at our fallen hero, a huge, intimidating dude starts making fun of him. Filled with rage, the newbies start shouting, demanding someone call the cops. Annoyed by the yelling, the brute loses what little patience he had. With a firm hand on his sword, the mood gets tense in a flash. As he whips out the blade, a wicked purple energy explodes through the hall. Right away, the violent shockwave spooks the crowd. Screaming, the instructor tells everyone to shut their traps and shows them who's in charge. Muttering to himself, he complains that the recruitment department only sends him idiots. With a heavy sigh, the guy announces he's going to cut the explanation short to save time. Paying close attention, our boy doesn't blink for a single second. Revealing he's from the Dawn Academy, the brute promises power, money, and even immortality in a new world. Terrified by the revelation, the newbies swallow hard, not knowing what to think. Without wasting time, the instructor tells everyone to get ready for the potential assessment test. Thinking fast, our MC counts 200 people and doubts he's even on Earth anymore. A bizarre, futuristic machine then appears in the center to evaluate everyone's stats. Beeping loudly, the panel signals that the first student's scan is complete. Seeing the result of 24 points, the instructor cusses the kid out, calling him total garbage. Right after, a score of 32 earns a bit of praise from the big guy. It seems the average is super low, and the assessor walks around complaining about the student's level. When it's our little guy's turn, the tension ramps up as the machine beeps nonstop. Almost a full minute goes by, when the test usually ends in 6 seconds. With a smirk, the instructor thinks he's finally found a rare genius. Finally, the giant screen beeps, showing that the testing ordeal is over. Super eager, the big guy runs over to see the stats of the supposed extraordinary talent. Clearly surprised, the instructor's eyes go wide, unable to believe what he's reading. Displayed on the giant screen, our MC's attributes add up to an embarrassing 9 points. Genuinely shocked, the brute stammers, repeating the pathetic score out loud. With a hand on his face, he laments, saying he's never seen such a worthless scrub in his entire life. Without any pity, the instructor lays into our guy, saying it's the first time he's ever seen a single-digit attribute. Disappointed, the guy turns his back, saying he wasted his expectations for nothing. He declares loud and clear for all to hear that the newbie is a complete failure. Standing in the shadows, our little guy feels the crushing weight of humiliation. From the back of his mind, the word failure echoes, reminding him of past traumas. Gritting his teeth in anger, he swears to himself he can't take being treated like this anymore. Brimming with fury, a dark aura starts to seep from the boy's body. Holding up the ID tag, the instructor says that giving it to him would be sending him to his doom. In a flash, a hand darts out and snatches the tag right from the big guy's fingers. Moving like a bolt of lightning, our guy steals the credential, leaving the brute standing there empty-handed. Firm in his response, our MC says that a single number doesn't define whether he's useless. Laughing mockingly, the instructor tells him not to cry when the real test comes. Timidly, an extra raises his hand, asking about the prodigy student mentioned earlier. Sarcastically, the brute replies that only those blessed by God survive in this heckhole. Shaking with fear, the whole crowd gulps, realizing the gravity of the situation. With a lot of confidence, a girl with black hair remembers they talked about gaining wealth and power. Exuding a strong presence, the newbie asks point blank what the price is to get those perks. Recognizing the girl instantly, the instructor says she's the student with the highest attributes there. Agreeing coolly, the girl just glances over her shoulder, Impressed by her demeanor, our little guy realizes the girl commands a lot of respect. Laying down the rules, the boss tells everyone to silently recite a phrase to open their status screen. The system activates quickly, emitting a beep from everyone's card. Reading his blue panel, our guy is shocked to find out he only has a few years of life left. Mass panic erupts as everyone in the hall discovers that any mistake costs them lifespan. Pale with fear, our MC freezes completely, understanding that the game here is survive or perish. Suddenly, the panel glows, revealing an abnormal fluctuation and an unlocked hidden talent. Enveloped in a mysterious blue light, our MC is left completely clueless. Totally confused, he wonders how a failure like him could have a secret gift. With narrowed eyes, he tries to check if anyone else heard the alert sound. On the giant screen, the information appears blurry but reveals an OP ability to copy powers. The system then announces that since it's a first, the user gets the right to name the ability. With a focused look and a quick mind, he decides to keep it simple. Without a second thought, our little guy names his power Academic Genius. Immediately, a purple aura explodes, and the ability's classification hits an incredible SS rank. At this, the boy's eyes widen in shock at the insane rarity of the thing. On the other side, the instructor grumbles that the machine couldn't read the new talent's data. Aware of his insane advantage, our MC smirks when he sees his SS rank is hidden. Full of confidence, he swears to himself this will be his ace in the hole to survive this inferno. In the middle of the hall, an extra panics, screaming he only has 9 years of life left. Out of patience, the brute gives the loudmouth a violent smack on the head, calling the kid a pig brain. Screaming, the instructor warns that getting wiped out costs 10 years, and anyone who hits 0 is gone for good. But he quickly calms the crowd, revealing that lifespan is a resource and can be earned by completing quests. In a lot of pain, the extra finally understands how the grim rule works. Standing firm, the boss guarantees the academy offers absolute power to change one's destiny. Playing on their greed, he even promises eternal life if a student gathers enough points. Way too sharp, the girl with glasses asks if this crazy life losing thing applies everywhere. Straight to the point, the big guy confirms that once you're a student, the rule applies across the entire planet. Tired of the chat, the instructor announces that the free ride is over and the admission test is about to begin. With his hand in the air, the guy snaps his fingers, telling everyone to stay exactly where they are. In that same instant, the panels announce that teleportation has been activated and the countdown begins. With the number 3 glowing, a tense atmosphere hangs over the entire hall. Cool and calculating, our little guy holds his ground, facing his destiny. On one, purple magic swallows the crowd, and everyone vanishes in the blink of an eye. Alone in the empty warehouse, the instructor laments the lack of good talent in this batch of newbies. Super frustrated, he grumbles about his own bad luck for getting such a weak class. Suddenly a loud, mocking laugh echoes down the empty corridor. From the shadows of the hallway, another buff teacher appears to make fun of his frustrated colleague. Full of swagger, the newcomer brags that his class 3 produced 2 prodigies right off the bat. Green with envy, the first instructor retorts that high attributes are useless without a real talent. Not wanting to look bad, he swears that S-rank talents are practically impossible to find anywhere in the world. Far from there, deep in a goblin nest, the students are dropped into a creepy, full-smelling forest. Almost puking, our MC covers his nose, disgusted by the rotten smell of the place. Quick on the draw, the system projects a blue screen in front of our guy. Through the panel, he finds out the mission is to either escape in 1 hour or hunt monsters for a bonus. Right after, a digital gift box appears, floating and offering a random weapon. As a final warning, the system promises that for this first test, getting wiped out won't cost you any years of your life. Hearing that, the extras celebrate like crazy, thinking they've hit the jackpot. Without wasting time, our little guy touches the screen and opens his starter pack, hoping for something good. In a purple flash, a mage's staff appears in his hand, unlocking the ability to shoot energy balls. With the staff in hand, he realizes the test dynamics are identical to the games he used to grind. With a confident smile, our guy decides to test out his new toy right away. Preparing his first magic attack, he spins the staff, concentrating all the mana he can. But the shot comes out way too weak, hitting the ground and doing almost no damage. The pathetic impact barely scratches a rock, showing the magic is pretty much useless. Even so, the system beeps, giving him experience points just for using the weapon. Thanks to his hidden talent, he figures out his learning speed is double the normal rate. Soon after, a wave of dizziness hits him, and our MC grunts in pain, holding his head. From the screen's alert, he notes that his garbage attributes can't handle casting magic too many times. Nearby, a buff guy raises his sword, thrilled to have unlocked mastery just by swinging the blade. Shattering his expectations, the archer girl points out that swinging at nothing doesn't give real experience. With a focused mind, our little guy concludes that switching to a physical weapon is the only way to avoid running out of mana. With a plan in mind, he walks straight up to the girl with glasses, who's armed with a huge sword. even though she's inexperienced. The busty girl holds the heavy blade, looking pretty uncomfortable with its weight. Keeping it real, he tells her the staff is a much better match for her high intelligence. He directly proposes a fair trade so they both have a better shot at passing the stage. The girl calmly accepts the offer without any fuss, agreeing with the kid's logic. They quickly swap weapons, and our MC immediately feels the weight of the metal. The instant he holds the blade, the system unlocks the close quarters combat skill. Focused on winning, he suggests they team up to explore the map more safely. Turning on the charm, he tries to convince the prodigy that together, they're an unbeatable team. Out of nowhere, the guy with the giant sword butts into the conversation, already trying to steal our guy's partner. Full of arrogance, the musclehead brags about his high attributes and demands the girl team up with him. Disrespectfully, he points at our little guy, calling him a pretty boy who's useless in a fight. Serious and showing no reaction, the girl just stares at the big guy with a look of pure boredom. With a sharp comeback, the newbie shuts him down flat, leaving the musclehead high and dry. Pissed off by the rejection, the brute scowls and tells our guy to shut his mouth. With a look that could kill, the big guy channels all his frustration, glaring daggers at our MC. Like an animal, the guy tries to intimidate the kid, looking to start a fight for no reason. In a cowardly move, he shoves our guy, sending him flying back with absurd force. Seething with rage, the bully screams that he hates weak people and swears the MC will just get in the way. Keeping his cool, the MC points out that survival depends on each person's own skills. With his blood boiling, the brute grabs the kid by the collar, threatening to show him what real skill is. Letting out a mocking laugh, our little guy doesn't show an ounce of fear. Looking over his shoulder, the kid tells the bully he won't get a chance to prove anything right now. Confused by the response, the huge guy lets out a grunt, not understanding the warning. Suddenly, a bizarre goblin leaps from the shadows and attacks the musclehead's back with everything it's got. Feeling the pain tear through his skin, the guy screams in desperation, cursing the monster. Without missing a beat, the grotesque creature prepares for a second, deadly attack. With lightning reflexes, the brute swings his heavy sword and slices the creature in half. Panting and covered in a cold sweat, the guy realizes he was a hair's breadth away from biting the dust right there. Showing off, the bully points his sword, laughing and saying one nasty goblin is no match for him. In the middle of his laugh, a deafening noise from the woods grabs the big guy's attention. His eyes go wide as he sees a gigantic horde of goblins pouring out of the trees, thirsty for blood. In total panic, the students scream and start running aimlessly. In the middle of the chaos, the monsters charge forward, tearing through anyone in their path. With his arm slashed, one of the extras screams in agony, watching his own blood spray. The forest quickly turns into a bloodbath, with the monsters massacring the weakest ones. Feeling the real pain of a scratch, our MC realizes things have gotten seriously real. The metallic smell of blood fills the air, confirming the system perfectly copies the near-demise experience. Focused, the prodigy girl fires an energy ball, frying a goblin on the spot. Out of breath, our guy admits he was naive to think the test would be as easy as his games. Watching the slaughter, he gets that normal people are just lambs to the slaughter in a scenario like this. Suddenly, an extra points to a nearby cave and yells that the creatures won't go in there. Without a second thought, the crowd runs desperately toward the dark hole. Reaching the shelter, the MC's heavy breathing reveals the terror of the moment. Looking at the hologram at the entrance, he sees the safety timer is only for 30 minutes. Taking a deep breath, he tries to control his panic to analyze the situation calmly. Aware of the tight schedule, he promises himself he won't just stand around waiting to get wiped out. Training like a maniac, he starts swinging at the air to gain experience with his new weapon. Knowing he has garbage attributes, he decides to focus on leveling up his skill before facing the horde. Desperate, an extra yells that the cave's protection will disappear in just 2 minutes. Panicking, the group argues that escaping is impossible because the goblins are too fast. Observing the general panic, the girl with glasses calmly recharges her mana while sitting on the rocks. At the back of the cave, our MC continues to practice his sword slashes like a machine. Drenched in sweat, the boy feels his muscles burn as he focuses on leveling up the skill. Curious, the prodigy girl questions the usefulness of his training, saying the time is too short. Shocked by her accuracy, our little guy realizes the girl calculated everything in her head. Agreeing with her, he knows that without his secret talent, it would take an hour to level up the skill. With a sly smile, the kid thinks about the double advantage of his OP power. Suddenly, the panel glows, indicating that his sword mastery is about to hit level 2. Sheathing his weapon, he thanks the girl but says he's already got the hang of it. Calmly, she confirms she was just observing his movement patterns. Striking up a conversation, the MC mentions that her strategy of studying the creatures before fighting is the best one. Analyzing the facts, he concludes that the monsters have weak defenses, and a direct fight isn't impossible. Nearby, the extras tremble in fear, discussing how the real terror is the psychological pressure of the test. Certain of the danger, the archer girl mutters that losing your nerve in here means getting wiped out there. Walking toward the exit, our MC agrees and warns that the cave is about to lose its barrier. Seeing the two of them advance, the buff guy steps in front, angrily blocking their path. All bossy, the guy says the girl has to team up with him, so they can escape together. Ignoring the jerk, the prodigy points out that escaping gives no points, and the real goal is to hunt the Goblin King. Annoyed, the musclehead yells that the king is an optional quest and the creature hasn't even shown up yet. With pure logic, the girl replies that since the quest exists, the monster must be out there too. Thinking fast, our little guy suggests that the king's appearance is probably tied to the number of monsters killed. Building on that idea, he bets that killing a good number of minions is the trigger for the boss. Nervous, the archer asks if it wouldn't be better to just do the bare minimum and escape to the safe zone. Smiling, the boy retorts that the test has no penalty for getting KO'd and the bonus reward is way too good. Motivating the group, he asks if anyone thinks they'll get another free ride like this once they're officially in the academy. Thoughtfully, the extras agree with his reasoning, realizing it makes perfect sense. Furious, the buff guy points at the MC, calling everyone idiots for listening to a 32-point loser. Out of patience, the prodigy girl cuts the guy off, asking what incredible attribute he has. Adjusting her glasses, she states that her level is a solid 46 points. With a cold look, she tells the musclehead to shut up and stop bothering the group. Shocked, the guy's eyes go wide, realizing the girl is almost 3 times as strong as him. In the background, our MC breaks into a cold sweat, remembering he only has a measly 9 total points. Taking the lead, the prodigy dictates that anyone who wants to pass with a bonus should follow her commands. Turning to the buff guy, she orders him to be the group's tank and draw the creatures aggro head on. Pointing to the others, she tells anyone with a ranged attack to stay back and support the fighter. Looking at our little guy, she pauses for a second as if considering something specific. Without waiting for her to speak, the boy asks for the support role to finish off wounded monsters. With their strategy set, the group leaves the cave and comes face to face with the bloodthirsty horde. Screaming like a madman, the musclehead charges forward, swinging his sword and splitting goblins in two. Covering the rear, the archer fires arrows with surgical precision, taking down several. Suddenly, more monsters emerge from the trees, trying to flank the back line. Surprised, the girl falls back, trying to dodge the filthy claws of the nasty creatures. Appearing out of nowhere, our MC slices the monsters to pieces, showing his training paid off. In a swift blow, he cuts the first goblin in half. Gratefully, the girl hears the MC tell her not to engage head on and just land the finishing blow. At that, the sword glows, cutting down another minion. Right after, the third monster bites the dust as well. Without losing momentum, the blade tears through the fourth creature. Impressed, and extra comments that the weak-looking kid attacks at the exact moment of weakness. Paying attention, the prodigy girl notices that our little guy predicts the enemy's movements ahead of time. Out of nowhere, the system announces that his weapon mastery has leveled up. Mentally, the boy thanks his years of addiction to VR games for this precision. Suddenly, a sound alert interrupts the kid's thoughts. To everyone's surprise, the blue screen announces he was the first to level up and won a prize. With a smile, he celebrates his new heavy slash ability as the mission nears its end. Without mercy, he immediately tests the new power, smashing a creature into the ground. Yelling, the boy stylishly finishes the quota for the optional mission. Holding his pose with the sword, he sighs in relief for having completed this stage. Out of nowhere, the remaining monsters start to evaporate, leaving the group confused. Desperate, the musclehead yells, asking what the heck is going on. On the panel, the system announces that the Goblin King has been activated. From between the trees, a gigantic shadow makes the ground tremble. Face to face, our hero stares down the colossal creature that has just appeared. Filled with rage, the massive monster shows its bizarre, drooling teeth. With a powerful roar, the abomination unleashes a wicked shockwave. With her hands over her ears, the archer feels her eardrums almost burst. Frightened, the other extra girl realizes the creature's strength is surreal. Side by side, the MC and the girl with glasses face the challenge head on. Above the creature's head, its health bar appears, indicating extreme danger. With a hateful glare, the boss prepares for a massacre, eyeing the entire group. Sharp as attack, our little guy realizes the arena is now just against the big boss. In a pure panic, the nerd complains that the creature's health is higher than his own life expectancy. Annoyed by the cowardice, our guy tells everyone not to run, or they'll get taken out from behind. From memory, the kid recalls that these monsters have very poor eyesight. However, the creature's hearing and sense of smell are extremely sharp. Unfortunately, some idiot extra takes off running and immediately attracts the massive monster's attention. Angrily, the brute watches the predictable tragedy unfold. In an act of bravery, the big guy calls for everyone to attack as a group. With a violent leap, The musclehead tries to land a heavy blow with his sword. Quickly, the king's eye glows, noticing the approach. In the blink of an eye, a giant club smacks the guy dead on. Like a ragdoll, the brute smashes into the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Spitting blood, the big guy's new hobby is tasting dirt after that impact. Seeing the strongest guy go down in one hit, despair washes over everyone. In desperation, the crowd scatters, completely breaking formation. Screaming, one of the students trips in the chaos and gets left behind. Mercilessly, the king's heavy boot crushes the poor soul into the ground like a bug. Wrecking everything in its path, the monster swings its club, destroying the entire arena. With a massive boom, the colossal weapon just misses the group's heads, creating a gust of wind. On the ground, the archer freezes in terror under the creature's shadow. Just then, a magic blast hits the king square in the back. Taking only a scratch, the creature turns around, full of rage. Disappointed, the prodigy girl complains that she missed the weak spot. Thinking fast, she warns that hitting the arms does little damage, and the real target is the head. Impatiently, she reminds them the plan was for everyone to hold the creature down so she could deal the real damage. Since the whole group fled, the formation fell apart, and the boss targeted her first. Face to face with doom, the girl realizes her end has come. For the first time, the genius admits her strategy was too perfect for the harsh reality. Screaming, she tells our MC to get out of there as fast as he can. Ignoring the warning, the sword glows blue as the boy charges toward the danger. Furious at his audacity, the monster roars, readying its club. Underneath the fatal blow, our hero slides, scraping against the ground. With his hand planted on the dirt, he perfectly reads the enemy's attack pattern up close. Cleverly, he discovers the boss's programming purely focuses on the nearest target. As the leader, he tells the archer to shoot from a distance to create openings. Still scared, the girl gets up, agreeing to try and help with support. He immediately tells the prodigy to use her max power to melt the monster's health. Quickly, the two girls prepare their magic and arrow at the same time. In a shower of attacks, the Goblin King's back takes constant, continuous damage. In pain from the blows, the monster swings its club furiously in their direction. Satisfied with the aggro, our guy tells them to keep up the pressure without stopping. Hopping mad, the creature lets out a roar that could shatter glass. As it hits the ground, a massive shockwave is unleashed by the king's club. The green energy surges through the ground, tearing the scenery to pieces. In a panic, the kid warns of the imminent danger, yelling for them to dodge. Through the smoke, the boss rises imposingly, seemingly having taken no damage. Side by side, the MC and the girl take a deep breath, feeling the absurd weight of the battle. Looking at her ally, the girl asks if the two of them alone still have any chance of winning this mess. Checking his low mana, the MC asks if the girl can still fire off more energy attacks. Cool and direct, the girl says she has enough mana for 2 more shots, max. Confidently, the boy guarantees that if they hit the head, those 2 shots are more than enough. Suddenly, a dark smile appears on his face, and he says he's going to stop the beast by force. Quick on the draw, he activates his SS ranked talent on the spot. The purple panel scans the creature, detecting the same shockwave the boss used. With his eyes fixed on the target, he remembers everyone's contempt when he revealed his low attributes. Immediately, the king's ability is copied and equipped to our hero's skill bar. Brimming with fury, he swears that now it's his time to truly shine. Just then, the massive monster raises its arm, ready to unleash another impact on the ground. In a flash of insight, the kid realizes that hitting with a hand takes more time than hitting with a weapon. Hitting the hockey, he launches an exact copy of the monster's power. The sword blade swiftly descends, cutting through the air with extreme violence. Meeting the giant club, the magical shock instantly interrupts the enemy's attack. Paralyzed mid-motion, the Goblin King completely freezes. Smiling confidently, our little guy celebrates the strategy that just worked perfectly. Focused on holding his ground, he knows he doesn't have infinite stamina to play blocking games. Breaking into a cold sweat, he sees the copied ability has a 30-second cooldown. Suddenly, a beam of purple light hits the monster dead on, tearing through the air. Hitting it directly in the eye, the impact rips a horrifying scream from the boss. Exhausted, the prodigy girl pants that she's used almost everything and only has 1 magic shot left. Through the dust, the creature's health bar shows it's at half, indicating a critical hit. Blind in one eye, the beast swings its club wildly, and the MC is startled by the attack speed. Knowing he can't dodge the wide swing, the kid makes a risky decision. Facing the danger head-on, he decides not to run and crosses his arms to tank the blow. Seeing this, the archer's eyes go wide, and she screams the boy's name in desperation. With a massive explosion, the club's impact kicks up an insane cloud of smoke. Emerging from the dust unharmed and covered in blue energy, he assures them he's alive. Way too calculating, the boy realizes that the closer to the handle, the weaker the impact's force. So, using logic, the kid dives headfirst right into the monster's center of gravity. With 3 seconds left on the cooldown, the MC readies his sword at a deadly angle. Unleashing the ability with everything he has, he yells as he tears through the creature's chest with the shockwave. Immediately, the panel announces the cooldown is over and releases the attack. Screaming with all his might, he tells the girl now is the exact time to finish it. Completely exhausted, he says he might not be able to continue the fight alone. Without missing a beat, the scene cuts back to the academy, where the instructor is bragging about his class, chest puffed out. Reading the digital screen, the bigwig reports the insane number of students taken out or injured in the test. Frightened, a female teacher mutters that having so many prodigies at once is terrifying. Amused, the other teacher laughs, commenting on the B-rank newbies his class revealed. Confirming the information, the director celebrates that 13 elite talents were found right off the bat. Frustrated in the corner, our guy's instructor sadly grumbles about not catching any geniuses. Consoling him, the big guy praises his class for setting a bizarre record-breaking streak. Pointing out the facts, he says that for the first time, 2 failures completed all missions with a perfect score. With a wicked smile, he reveals that the new girl broke the record for initial intelligence since the school's founding. Hopping mad, the instructor remembers that on the other hand, the kid has the worst attributes ever recorded. On the giant screen, a graph shows their stats, confirming the miracle. Back in the main hall, the teleportation light fades, and everyone falls onto the floor. Seeing the victory notification on his panel, the kid laughs in relief for having completed all 3 objectives. Striking up a conversation, he tries to find out who saved his skin after he blacked out. Suddenly, the archer comes running and waving from a distance, full of joy. With her hands on her chest, she tearfully thanks them both for surviving, all thanks to their crazy plan. Feeling guilty for passing out, she says she was completely useless during that cursed shockwave. Calmly, the MC comforts the girl, assuring her they beat the creature in the end. In the middle of their chat, the buff guy forcefully bumps into the kid's shoulder on purpose. Gritting his teeth, the bully says he got lucky and only passed because of the prodigy girl's insane power. Unbothered, the girl walks right past, completely ignoring the loser's whining. Looking the boy in the eye, the girl says she wants to have a private conversation away from the crowd. With his hands in his pockets, he agrees, and the 2 of them move to a quieter corner of the hall. Respectfully, the kid thanks her for what she did in the final stretch of the deadly test. Cold but fair, the girl confesses that if it weren't for the kid tanking, her spells would have never hit. Focused, our little guy admires how quickly the girl can calculate the entire battlefield. Quickly, she breaks the silence, saying that mathematically, his strength should have never stopped the boss's attack. Realizing she's figured out his hidden talent, he scratches his head with a nervous smile. Changing the subject to smooth things over, he suggests they exchange contacts on their tech bracelets to make things easier. They quickly open their screens, checking the functions of the glowing gadget on their wrists. Looking at the screen, the girl realizes it's like a super advanced phone built into them. Side by side, they type their ID numbers on the glowing blue screen. Confirming the invite, the panels flash, announcing they are now officially friends on the school network. With a quick tap, the notification is accepted, finalizing their registration in the system. Soon, all heck breaks loose as the instructor yells for all the low scorers to head straight to the assembly. Telling the rest to open their maps, the bigwig gives directions to the central courtyard. Behind a door, another teacher keeps an eye out, muttering something to the leaders. Out of nowhere, the instructor stops walking and tells the prodigy girl to follow him to the principal's office. Fiddling with the system map, our hero tries to find the right way through the labs. Way too curious, he wonders if they're suspicious of his hidden talent, or if they just want to suck up to the strong girl. Arriving at the gigantic courtyard, the MC sees a sea of students in school uniforms. With a hand on his chin, he finds it weird that all these people vanished from the real world without making the news. Beside him, the prodigy walks past and tells the kid not to say things he shouldn't. In the middle of the crowd, whispers spread about the mysterious top-scoring student. Furious, the buff teacher orders Class 7 to line up and stop causing a commotion. On top of a weird flying stage, the student council president introduces himself. Full of pomp, the blue-haired guy welcomes the newbies. Calmly, the preppy guy announces that the director is running late, and the ceremony will be delayed a bit. Out of nowhere, a monstrous roar tears through the sky, cutting the speech short. Startled, all the students look up, trying to figure out the noise. Slicing through the clouds, a gigantic black dragon appears, flying over the school. Jaw on the floor, our hero admires the legendary creature, absolutely stunned. Breathing purple fire from its nostrils, the beast stares at the crowd with demonic eyes. Breaking into a cold sweat, the MC feels his body freeze completely from the crushing pressure. Shaking like a leaf, the prodigy admits its pure, instinctual fear of oblivion. Landing with a heavy impact, the dragon kicks up dust, covering the stage. On the beast's back, an old man with a white beard apologizes for being late. Finally, the legend reveals himself as the great director of the Dawn Academy. The preppy guy from the council sucks up to him, praising the old man's grand entrance. Laughing, the director slaps the student on the back and tells him to stop talking nonsense. Casually, the old man confesses he just hitched a ride on the beast to get there faster from a private lesson. Focused, our guy realizes that this man calls all the shots here. Assuming his boss-like posture, the director praises the freshman for surviving. With a slight smile, the old man's eyes glint as he sizes up all the kids at once. Without blinking, our little guy's eyes widen, afraid his secret will be exposed. Ignoring the crowd, the old man slams his staff on the ground, activating a voice amplification spell. Straight to the point, the boss says his name doesn't matter, but their mission does. With authority, the old man chews out anyone who complains about being kidnapped in the middle of the night and says the rules have changed. Whispering among themselves, the students feel the heat from the tough, as nails director's lecture. Regaining their attention, the old man declares he's going to answer the two biggest questions from this confused bunch. Opening his arms, he shouts, revealing that they are all the new colonizers. Pointing to the sky, the old man creates a hologram showing the target planet, named Norma. Explaining the situation, he says the Academy's goal is to train pawns for the slaughter. The hologram changes, showing the beasts that dominate this new world. Grimly, the director promises that fighting in this place also guarantees plots of land for those who survive. Shattering any hope, he announces that their cushy life on Earth is over for good. Firing up the crowd, the old man talks about becoming generals and expanding the empire. Changing his tone, he mentions the possibility of becoming legendary mages who control nature. Finishing his promise, he talks about becoming kings, making their own laws in the new land. Enchanted by the talk of glory, immortality, and power, the extras start to go wild. But cutting the joy short, the director drops a grim rule, saying that freshmen can't go to Norma. However, he announces that the top 3 students in the class get the right to step into that inferno early. Immediately, the council president pulls the old man's sleeve, warning him of the danger. Playing dumb, the old man pretends he spoke without thinking, trying not to be too obvious. Slamming his staff, he ends the ceremony and tells everyone to clear out and head to the dorms. Thoughtfully, our MC finds the old man's speech over the top and decides to just focus on getting stronger first. Suddenly, someone yells his name from the dispersing crowd. Looking back, he sees the buff instructor calling him over for a chat. Annoyed, the guy explains that the girl with glasses turned down the class rep spot, and he got stuck with it. Pointing a finger in the kid's face, the teacher tells him about the perks that come with the position. On his screen, the musclehead shows that being a leader gives access to life, saving bonuses for failures. Turning his back, the big guy tells him to read the manual and leaves without another word. With a sly smile, our little guy celebrates the privileges he got without lifting a finger. Arriving at the dorm, he sees a huge building full of glowing windows. At the front desk, the lady warns him about curfew and the point penalties for wandering around. Handing over the form, the receptionist notices something odd, and her eyes go wide. All friendly, the woman fawns over the newbie, finding out he's the class representative and got the position easily. Grabbing his arm, the upperclassman's attitude flips from ice to honey, all lovey-dovey. Handing him the uniform, she says that newbies wear green and gives him his room coordinates. Opening the dorm room door, our guy's jaw dropped by the luxury of the single leadership room. Quickly, the woman hands him the ID card, saying the little thing is used for everything in here. With a dazzling smile, the upperclassman asks to be added on the school's social network. Waving goodbye, she reminds the boy to choose his classes wisely and disappears down the hall. Slyly, he realizes the power of the ID card attracts opportunistic people like a magnet. Tossing his bag on the giant bed, he decides to open his panel right away to set up his class schedule. Turning on the blue system, the course selection screen blinks in front of him. Looking at the options, the kid goes crazy with the number of useless things to choose from. Taking a deep breath, he decides to focus on what matters and not get overwhelmed by so many open tabs. Knowing he has garbage attributes, he aims to take practical classes to focus on direct combat. Clicking the checkboxes, he chooses swordsmanship, meditation, and martial arts, so he won't have to rely solely on magic. With his schedule set, he hits OK, confirming the soul-sucking timetable. The next day, the MC is already dripping sweat in the training room, wailing on a wooden dummy. With sword in hand, he repeatedly swings at the air, trying to level up his basic skill. Focusing on his wrist, he remembers the pattern and applies the exact force to conserve energy. With a fire in his eyes, our guy swears that mastering the basic technique is a step toward not being useless in this inferno. Panning, our MC celebrates that his sword skill hit level 2 so quickly. Unable to bear the blade's weight, he collapses onto the floor, complaining that his arms are numb. In the background, the tough as nails teacher criticizes the pathetic level of the beginner students. Scolding them, the pink-haired woman warns that no one is leaving until they hit level 3 in the skill. Regretting his choice of class, an extra cries while hugging a wooden log. Desperate, A female student says that without superpowers, it's impossible to reach level 3 in an hour. Cold and merciless, the instructor tells everyone to focus and shut up immediately. Suddenly, our little guy raises a sweaty hand and announces he's already met the class goal. Shocked, the woman glares at the boy, not believing his audacity. Annoyed, she thinks he's joking, trying to lie on his first day of class. Pulling up his file through the system, she sees the kid was the lucky one from the survival test. Full of scorn, the teacher doubts the ability of the guy with the worst attributes in the academy. Calmly, the kid holds out his hand and tells her to pull the official data if she doesn't believe him. With a devilish little laugh, the teacher decides to test the newbie's nerve her own way. Immediately, the woman activates the virtual arena, setting it to the maximum difficulty for the students. Startled, the boy sees the floor glow and braces for the worst. With sword in hand, the teacher says that real combat proves more than system data. The scenery changes in a flash, and the two are dropped into a dungeon full of bones. Explaining the simulation, the woman says the room almost perfectly copies the laws of that new world. Grimly, she warns that he won't actually get wiped out in there, but he'll feel all the pain of the process. Focused on pressuring him, she warns that if her sword touches him, the agony will be 100% real. Thinking she's exaggerating, he remembers that opening the room costs a fortune. Ignoring his logic, the woman points to a horde of skeletons and tells the boy to prove his level 3 skill. Mockingly, she says the creatures in there are the same level as the goblins he killed. Challenging the kid, the teacher swears that if he clears the room, he gets a free pass to leave early. On the panel, the mission is to survive for 40 minutes or annihilate 20 tough as nails skeletons. Hopping mad, he curses the woman for being a maniac, throwing a freshman into such a high-level challenge. Drawing a short sword, he realizes he'll have to make do with the crappy weapons the game provided. Analyzing the time, the MC knows that trying to stall for 40 minutes is a one-way trip to failure. With his shield ready, he decides the only chance of getting out in one piece is to kill the creatures before they kill him. In a rough charge, our guy cuts down the first skeleton, sending its skull flying. Falling to pieces, the creature crumbles, and the system registers the kill instantly. Smiling, the kid sees the progress bar mark the first elimination. Mathematically, he concludes that if each monster requires 2 hits, he'll have to swing his sword 40 times. With maximum concentration, our little guy promises to keep the pace and not waste any energy. Impressed, the teacher watches with her arms crossed, not believing the freshman's boldness. Thinking he was going to cry in fear, the instructor admits she was ready to close the room at the first whimper. But seeing his posture, she realizes the force and angle of his cuts are perfect. Analyzing him coolly, the woman praises the precision of his nailed-down movements. With a small smirk, she admits his sword skill has surpassed all the idiots in her class. Surprised, she wonders why he took all the practical courses if his attributes can't handle them. Out of nowhere, the screen flashes, announcing he's already taken down 13 skeletons. In a cold sweat, the teacher realizes the kid is performing a miracle in the virtual arena. Hit from behind, our guy lets out a grunt of pain, feeling the monster's claws. Seeing his exhaustion, the teacher warns that he's gone far enough, and it's time to give up. With a hand on her hip, she tells him to be obedient and drop the sword before he passes out. Seething with rage, the kid activates his secret talent, preparing the final slash. In a violent spin, the blade tears through the monster's armor with the power of heavy slash. Shocked, the teacher jumps back, asking where that advanced skill came from. Quickly, the screen updates the KO count, marking 17, 18, and 19 monsters finished. Tired to his very soul, the boy smashes the last skull, meeting the dungeon's goal. Collapsing to the floor, he breathes heavily, dripping buckets of sweat. With a victorious smile, he tells the annoying upperclassman that the challenge is over. Speechless, the woman analyzes the kid, realizing his S rank on the test was no fluke at all. Far away in the council room, the blue-haired president is casually signing papers. Nervously, an assistant warns him that the failure newbie schedule is completely absurd. Worried, the woman shows him the screen, unable to believe the kid's insane study plan. Shocked, the president sees that the boy selected absolutely every class possible. Later in the infirmary, the crazy teacher argues with the council leader. Annoyed, she asks if the preppy kid thinks her class went too far. Calmly, the president explains that the complaint is only because they are still innocent freshmen. Turning her back, she swears that being cruel now is the only way to save their lives in the future. Silently, the leader understands the upperclassman's cold logic, unable to disagree. With a heavy sigh, the teacher flips her hair back, tired of the boring argument. Suddenly, a groan comes from the bed, catching the attention of the two in the room. Waking up from the virtual beatdown, our little guy tries to figure out where he ended up. Looking around, he recognizes the smell of medicine and deduces he's in the school infirmary. Friendly, the preppy guy says that the mental fatigue from the simulation leaves a person wiped out, even outside the game. Stretching his arm, the MC feels only a slight ache, and is thankful for the quality of the school's treatment. Smiling, the president notices the kid's recovery was abnormally fast. Out of patience, the council leader tells the tough, as nails teach her to get out of the room immediately. Stomping her foot, she pouts, complaining about the guy's abuse of power. Turning away and slamming the door, the woman storms down the hallway. Out of nowhere, the teacher pokes her head back through the door, yelling at the sick newbie. Pointing a finger, she says she honors her bets and that the kid is free to leave her classes early. Giving a final warning, she cautions that practicing both styles at the same time is a recipe for disaster. Slamming the door hard, the teacher leaves the two of them alone in the infirmary. Thoughtfully, the boy thinks the upperclassman isn't as much of a monster as people say. Clearing his throat, the preppy president brings the focus back to the main topic. Seriously, he asks if the kid didn't read in the manual that it's idiotic to stack so many classes. Opening the screen, he shows the two separate paths for physical and magical evolution. Laying out the logic, he explains that mixing the two growth lines ruins one's focus. Agreeing, the MC knows that trying to be good at everything at the start gives an advantage in a fight. However, the president warns that in the long run, it costs years more of dedication than usual. Unfazed, our guy confirms he already knew about all these risks before choosing. Confidently, he imagines his skill tree growing and branching into many difficult paths. Gripping the sheet, he affirms he has the guts to face the insane challenge. Sighing, the preppy guy realizes he's not going to change that stubborn mind. Suddenly, the panel blinks with an urgent notification, coming straight from the director. Confused, the council leader reads the message, frowning, not understanding the reason. Getting up from his chair, the president says the old man himself approved his absurd schedule. But he warns that the schedule will be optimized so he doesn't work himself to exhaustion on the second day. Alone in the bed, our hero suspects the wise old man is spying on him closely. At the top of the academy, the sunlight streams directly into the director's office window. With his back to the world, the old man admires the view, thinking about the mess the newbies are making. With a grim look, he receives a visit from a ghost girl floating in the air. All smiles, the holographic girl asks why he looks so sad. Pointing a finger, the director accuses the central system of watching too much anime lately. Seriously, he says that almost no one knows about the existence of the artificial intelligence girl there. Complaining like a child, the AI says she was bored for 100 years until now. Playfully, she asks if he isn't thrilled with the freshman full of top scores. Scowling, the old man pulls up our MC's file, complaining about his pathetic point average. Getting real, he says the school only accepts kids with at least double those attributes. Grimly, he concludes it would be impossible for that human trash to have received an admission letter by luck. Floating nearby, the system girl says she dug through the old files and found a bizarre error. Somberly, the AI confirms that there's no record of the boy in the central system. Showing the data, she points out that 1,360 people were brought to the planet. But she highlights that there are only 1,359 registered letters in memory. Aware of the critical error, she says this secret breach has never happened since the founding. Startled, the director tells the girl to pull up the phantom admission letter for him to analyze. Mockingly, the girl refuses the order, laughing at the old man's dumbfounded look. Hopping mad, the old man screams, demanding the document since he's the big boss around here. Shrugging, the AI replies that not even she can access that encrypted information. His eyes widening, the director realizes the rabbit hole goes much deeper than he thought. With a heavy sigh, he gives up on forcing it and decides to cover up the case for now to avoid panic. Without hesitation, the holographic girl agrees with the plan and hides the corrupted file. Casting a security spell, the director orders the other letters to be immediately shielded. Obediently, the central system encrypts the newbie's data to prevent further breaches. Maliciously, the girl says he's scared someone will find out the truth about the letters. With a faint smile, the old man ignores the taunt, saying he's returning to their planet the next day. Focused, he says he doesn't want anyone interfering with the mysterious kid's evolution. Passing the buck, he leaves the academy in the AI's hands and takes off. The next day, the cafeteria is bustling with people grabbing hot food in line. Shocked, the upperclassman from the front desk strikes up a conversation with the MC about him passing out and scaring everyone. Embarrassed, the boy pokes at his food, realizing gossip travels fast in this backwater place. Sympathetically, the girl swears the pink-haired teacher really is a heartless monster. Changing the subject, the kid asks if students can also open the demise simulation room. Surprised, the upperclassman says he clearly hasn't read anything about the superpowers of the class leader position. Pulling up the cafeteria screen, she shows him the permission tree his armband grants. Excitedly, the girl explains that he has a free pass to enter and approve his friends for the virtual arena. Pointing her finger at the screen, she shows him the path to the training system settings, but she quickly kills the buzz, warning that a request from a useless newbie is almost always rejected on the spot. Out of nowhere, the boy's phone beeps, approving his entry immediately. Jaw on the floor, the upperclassman chokes on her juice, unable to believe the freshman's pull with the system. Grimly, she warns that if he gets wiped out in the simulation, he loses all the points it cost to open the room. Worried, he realizes he only has 500 points in his account, and if he fails, he'll be broke in the system. But remembering the prize for the top 3 is early access, he feels his blood boil with motivation. On the other hand, he knows the brood also wants that spot and won't give anyone an inch. He imagines the musclehead yelling that he's going to crush the competition without mercy. Determined, our hero swears he will increase his strength, no matter the cost before the next test. Waving to the upperclassmen, he says goodbye and walks off in a hurry to train. Finding it cute, she compliments the kid's focus, impressed by his will to win. Entering the gym, he sees everyone working out like crazy on the equipment. Walking down the hall, a student notices him and criticizes the fact that such a failure is a leader. On a treadmill, another guy lifts weights, cursing the injustice of the selection system. Angrily, the buff guy squeezes a water bottle, grumbling that the teacher must have been blind. Staring from a distance, he swears that a cocky freshman's place is getting beat down until he begs for mercy. Sucking up, his sidekick asks if it wouldn't be better to just beat the kid up right there in the locker room. But the musclehead knows the rules and says upperclassmen get points deducted if they're caught fighting freshmen outside the arena. Focused, our little guy speeds up on the treadmill, dripping sweat as his attribute bar slowly climbs. Drenched in sweat, the MC watches his physical fitness level slowly rise on the blue screen. Checking the wall clock, he realizes it's almost 7 o'clock at night. Mentally calculating the time, he figures he can make it to the dorm before getting a fine. But when he tries to leave, he pulls the handle hard, but the thing won't budge at all. Frowning, our guy finds the metal's resistance strange, sensing something is wrong. Realizing the prank, he figures out some jerk locked him in the gym on purpose.